I had a vision. There was fire. There were people. There were guns. There were missiles. I had a vision. The world was burning. People were throwing their shoes at Joe Biden's posters, abusing him and setting on fire his effigies. They were saying, if Black Lives Matter, why did Biden burn the Horn of Africa? Then the endless mob turned to me, and I cannot describe what they did to me. I must stop this. Ethiopia cannot be allowed to go down. Joe Biden cannot be allowed to succeed. The Africans I saw were kicking our asses. This must stop. I will put a stop to this madman's war. Hi and welcome. You're watching defies Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the defies Media Group. I'm Siddharth, your host. In this video, I will tell you about a US envoy who defied Biden's approach towards Ethiopia as soon as he witnessed the ground realities. Let's begin. The Biden administration is facing resistance from within when it comes to its plans of spilling a bloody conflict all over the Horn of Africa. The realities of the region are starkly different from what Joe Biden thinks them to be. Any escalation of violence in Ethiopia could soon spill over into neighboring countries like Eritrea, Sudan, and Somalia, and inevitably impact the flow of world trade through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. By dominating the Horn of Africa, the USA can dominate the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which connects the Red Sea with the Gulf of Aden, and through which much of global trade passes. The USA can dominate this strait only if it controls the Horn of Africa, and to establish that, it is pushing Ethiopia into a civil war. But people from within the administration are now beginning to see the catastrophic consequences of Biden's bloodlust. So, they are subtly trying to dissociate the US from violence and are vouching for diplomacy. This comes in the backdrop of Biden's ecosystem pushing a narrative favoring US boots on the ground in Ethiopia to take control of the situation. The man who Biden tasked with ensuring that tensions escalate in the Horn of Africa has returned from Ethiopia. Upon touching down in Washington, D.C., he immediately called up reporters and sounded caution over any military action that could escalate the crisis brewing in Ethiopia. US Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Jeffrey Feltman, said last Tuesday that there was massive progress trying to get fighting sides in Ethiopia to a negotiating process, but he warned that there was no military solution. He was quoted as saying, "What concerns us is this fragile progress risk being outpaced by the alarming developments on the ground that threaten Ethiopia's overall stability and unity. After more than a year of fighting and hundreds of thousands of casualties, it should be clear that there is no military solution." According to Al Arabia, Feltman also delivered a strong worded warning to the Tigray fighters, asking them to halt their advance on Addis Ababa. If they don't stop, he said they could face unrelenting hostility. He also sided with Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's priority of pushing the Tigray fighters out of the regions they were occupying. As the Horn of Africa envoy said, "We share that objective." Jeffrey Feltman is a man considered to be close to the CIA. So, when Biden deployed him to the Horn of Africa, he had one mandate: instigate chaos in Ethiopia. However, after having spent some time on ground zero, Feltman seems convinced that violence and military intervention is not the way to go forward. And then, the conflict could cascade into something much bigger than what Biden imagines. The UAE is supporting Ethiopia against Tigray militants. It has been reported that the UAE has even provided its drones to Ethiopia's forces, using which they are neutralizing the TPLF. Additionally, the UAE is admittedly sending tons of medical and other aid supplies to Ethiopia. And then, there is the Russian angle. The people of Ethiopia are staunch supporters of Russia. Any US military intervention, therefore, will not go unanswered by Moscow, which might pull a Syria-like rug from right under Washington, D.C.'s feet. Russia will also be motivated to prevent Africa from being consumed by a devastating conflict, which would put its own interests in the continent in harm's way. Finally, the people of Ethiopia are beginning to realize that Joe Biden is playing with their lives only to achieve his own geopolitical goals. So, if they decide to kick the USA out of the region, Washington, D.C. will lose the Horn of Africa for a very long time. That runs in complete contestation of what Biden has planned for. Jeffrey Feltman has understood that the USA cannot resort to any misadventures in Ethiopia, as the conflict which ensues thereafter could blow up in America's face. He is therefore defying the diktats of Biden and speaking his mind out.